Hey, welcome back. My name is Jana with Purl Together, and in this week's technique video, I'm going to show you how to sew your sleeves onto the body of your Ripples sweater. So, should we talk about my head for a minute? Because I know you're thinking, what happened? Nothing happened. I have wanted to buzz my head for probably the last 10 or 15 years and never had the nerve to do it until now. So, you can like it, you can not like it, it's okay. I finally got to the point where I just wanted to do it, just to see what my head looked like. I've never done it. I've never actually seen myself, my head. So I did it, and it's just hair. It'll grow back if I don't like it. And I'm not sure if I do or not, but it's okay. It's okay. I wanted to try it, and now I have. So if there's ever anything you wanted to do, this is your encouragement to just go for it, right? That's your thing for the day. Go for it. Do what you've been putting off. Do what you think you want to do, even if you're not sure how it's going to turn out. It's okay. Just go ahead with it. And today we're going to go ahead with putting our sleeves on the body. Now, there's a lot of people, let me tell you what I learned about this. A lot of people really avoid the seaming of garments, and I'm not exactly sure why. I have known of a couple of people that have picked up stitches and knitted the other way. I've known of a couple of people who have knitted the sleeve as directed in the pattern and knitted it straight up, and then picked up, knitted the other way, and kitchened it all the way around, which, by the way, is more complicated, it seems, than sewing the thing directly on there. So it really wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. And I'm putting a link in the video description down below to a blog post from a master hand knitter, Arenda Holiday. And it has a fantastic illustration that I want you to take a look at that will help you understand what I'm doing, particularly because the yarn I'm using is obviously a little bit dark. So check out the illustration from her blog post, and then let's do it. Okay, we're ready to attach the sleeves. I've already done one. I'm pretty excited about showing you how I went about doing this. I think it looks pretty good. There's a couple spots you can see where I might have gotten off track just a hair, but overall, it'll be fine. So that's one thing I want you to realize, is that overall, it'll be fine. And if anybody is close enough to you to nitpick your seaming, they are too close to you. And they are in your personal bubble. So keep that in mind. I'm going to show you how I'm going to sew on the other one. So we want to, don't turn it inside out, just get your sleeves set up right here. All right. Let me arrange things a little bit better here for you. And I'm also going to zoom in some. So what we want to do is arrange this so that I haven't woven in my ends yet. I will do the rest of them after blocking. I'm going to go ahead and block it first. So on the side of your sleeve where you've done all of your increases, that's the bottom of the arm. Okay, so you want to kind of match this up here. And what I'm going to do, I think, is go ahead and start with one of these tail ends from my 3 needle bind off at the top of my shoulder seam. So you can start with one of those. If you'd like, you can, if you left a long tail where you ended here, you could use that when you get down that far. Or you can start with a whole brand new piece of yarn, whatever makes you happy. But I am going to begin at the top of the shoulder. So because I haven't blocked this yet, it's pretty flat. You could certainly block it, but because I magic looped, I already kind of have, like, here's where the needle junction was. That's already kind of flat. That's where all my increases were on the beginning and the end of the round. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to pin this, at least one half of it. I'm going to pin this as I go down. And the way that I sew, I like to sew from right to left. So I think I'm going to turn the whole thing over. So I'm starting at the top seam here, but it's to my right. So I'm going to turn the whole thing over. I should have done that before. I should have thought that through. But you can think it through. You can think about which way do you I prefer to sew, from this way to this way, in the same way that I knit. So I'm just going to turn everything over. And again, I want the right sides to me. I'm going to begin at the top here. Now, because you're sewing something that's been knitted this way, or it's been knitted this way and the sleeve has been knitted vertically, this has been knitted horizontally, you're joining up row gauge to stitch gauge. So you could do some math and you could measure, here's my stitch gauge. I have, 5 or 6 stitches per inch or whatever that is. Then compare it to your row gauge and then use that proportion, that ratio to know how many that you need to pick up, whether it's 3 to 4, 3 rows to every 4 stitches, or 4 to 5, or whatever that is for you. I found that when I did the first one, I sort of got off track with that, and it worked better for me to just kind of ease everything together. So I'm going to take some pins that are a little longer. These are actually T-pins that you would use for blocking, but I'm going to use them for this. So this is the top here. And how this is going to work is you have your selvage edge right here. And I'm going to use this pin to point with. I could use a needle. Maybe I should use the darning needle. It's a little bigger. So I'm going to use this pin, and I have my selvage edge, which wants to roll inward, and that's just fine. I'm going to let it. And along this edge, I'm going to be picking up the bars between the stitches. I'm going to be picking up a bar each row. So that you can see the bar is down inside there along each edge. And my selvage edge is going to turn under. And what that's going to do is match up with, the bars are going to match up with a column of stitches here, where I'm going to pick up, like here's a stitch column right here, and I'm going to go in and under both legs of that V, of that stitch. And I'm going to correspond that with one of those bars. Okay, so I just want you to understand that. I'm also going to put a link in the video description to a really good illustration on a blog by Arenda Holiday. So what I'm going to do first is start at this shoulder seam. This is the 3 needle bind off right here. I'm going to start right here at this shoulder seam, and I know that this is the point, and I'm going to just pick what I think is the apex of my shoulder seam on my sweater, and I'm going to go in underneath right there. Okay, so we're coming in from the top each time, whether we're coming in under the V of the stitches or we're coming in and under the bar. We're going to come in from the top of the right side. And I know it seems weird, so I just cinched that up. I know this is going to seem super weird to start with, but you'll see why. Then, right after that, we're going to go and find the first bar right here. Okay. And I'm just going to keep doing that. And it's going to cinch that right up. What's going to happen is that even though your bind off edge wants to curl, all that's going to straighten out and butt right up against that selvage edge. And it's going to look just fine. Okay, so I've gone under the bar. So the next thing I'm going to do is come back and go under the next column of stitches. So the next V is right there. You see that? Do you want me to zoom in a little bit more even? The next V is right there. And I probably should pin this, and I will. But I want to give you a good start here. And then I'm going to find the next bar. Now, sometimes if you look at Arenda Holiday's illustration, you might, for things to match up and be straight, you might need to pick up more than one horizontal bar for each V. So after 3 or 4 of these, you might need to pick up 2 of these bars in order for things to match up properly. You might need to grab 2 of those. That's actually, well, there's more than one right there. Oh, because I caught a leg of a stitch as well. So a bar and a V. Okay. And if you get mixed up, which is a leg, you can look down at your purl bumps and see that that's a column of stitches rather than like over here, this and this would be half of one stitch and half of the other. So if you look down at your columns of purl bumps, you can tell what's a V, what's a full stitch, and what's not, half of one column and half of another. So now I'm going to go fish around. I just kind of work my needle in there until I find the bar of my, because then I want to jump over into another column. I want to stay right on the edge of that selvage. See, I want to stay right on the edge here to get the horizontal bar. Okay, I'm going to do some pinning, but you can see we've got a start here, and that's going to butt right up against there and look just fine after you block it. So let me do some pinning, and then we'll do a little more of that. Okay, now regarding the pinning, I'm going to get down here, and what I noticed when I did the other side is I'm going to get down here and it's not going to fit exactly, and that's okay. You're going to have to ease it in and fudge it because you're working with the difference between like I said, row gauge and stitch gauge, and it's totally okay. We're going to have to, fudge things a little here and there. That's all right. It's very forgiving, truly. So just carry on. All right, let's zoom in a little bit. Hopefully you can see what's going on. Now, what I did last was pick up a bar. So now I'm going to pick up another knit, the next V, which is here. Can you see that? All right. And I'm going to go look for my selvage edge and get a hold of another bar or even two. So it's, don't worry too much. I'm going to get a hold of a couple of bars there because I haven't done that in 4 or 5 stitches. And another V, and you're going to carry on this way all the way around. Now I'll show you what happens when, let me work at that a little bit, and I'll show you how I'm going to ease things in down here at the bottom of the underarm. Okay, I've sewn down this front seam here, and I'm at the underarm. This is when the end of my bind off, so you could use this if you need to, but I think I'm just going to push that inside for right now because I have plenty of yarn already threaded on my needle, and so I'm just going to push that other cast off. But that does give me a reference for what is the center, because that was the beginning and ending of my round, which I would ideally like to match up here with the bottom of the underarm. And it looks like it's going to be fairly close. So I'm happy about that. It didn't work out quite that evenly on the other side. I had to ease it in and kind of mishmash here, and yeah. So if yours doesn't come out quite even like that, don't stress about it. You might just need to, pick up a couple more on one side than the other and kind of ease it in. And that happens. So it's not a crisis if it's not exact. And it's your armpit. Who's going to know that? Again, if somebody's that critical of your knitting, they don't need to be that close to you. Boundaries, people. Boundaries. So I'm still picking up a bar on just inside my selvage edge, and I'm going under the V of my column of stitches here. And so far I've been doing pretty well doing 1-to-1, but I might see now I'm not going to work out. I'm going to have to ease this top. I have a little more fabric on the top than I do on the bottom. So I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit and maybe pick up a bar or two that's a little further ahead. And, being careful not to sew layers of things together, obviously. But maybe I want to go a little further and then, have a little more fabric that's drawn to the right. And then hunt for my next V. It'll all work out. It'll be just fine. And now I'm just kind of winging it because I'm going around the corner. So instead of a selvage edge now, I'm easing toward the top of here, the top of this column, and there is a bar there. And I'm just going to ease myself around the corner in the bottom here, and then I'm going to turn over my sweater and keep going because, like I said, I like to sew from right to left. That works best for me. If you're left-handed, then maybe not. That may not be the best view for you. So I'm going to shuffle things a little here and just kind of honestly fudge it around the bottom of the underarm here. Just doing what makes sense to me. And honestly, I'm more concerned with how secure it is than how it looks underneath my arm. I want it to be more sturdy and secure. Okay, let me do a little flop of my sweater here, and then now here's the opening. I'm going to pin this together, and you can ease your way in from the collar and make sure that you're not sewing layers together. But before I pin the rest, I'm going to go ahead and finish sewing around the bottom of the underarm. I just picked up that purl bump actually right there, and then I'm going to get a hold of another column here. That might be half and half, half of one and half of the other, but I'm going with it. The Vogue knitting book that's all about finishing probably won't have me featured, but we're going to get it done and it'll be fine because I said so. And you're the boss of your knitting and your project. So if you're happy with it and it's sturdy and secure and not going to fall apart, then it's fantastic because we said so. All right. Now, I got a little off with my columns, so now I'm back on track here with the V. You know what I mean by that. And now I'm back on track with picking up bars as well. Okay. And the purl bumps really do help you see your columns. There we go. All right. Now that I've got a good start coming up the backside here, I'm going to see how things are going to work out and whether I need to do a little fudging here. And I'm going to go ahead probably and, pin my sides together and see if I have too much fabric on this side or not. But it's, I might have a little bit more fabric on the top than on on the sweater body than on my sleeve, but it's fine. I'm just going to take some pins and ease all that together and keep going. Okay, I've gotten to the top of the seam and I just went in a time or two, just like normal, and I ended on the inside. So now I've got this big long thread that I just need to weave in, as we will on the inside. As I showed in an earlier video, I'm just going to go back and weave in all the ends on the inside. I still have this sleeve to do, and there's quite a few, but that's okay. Hooray for being done sewing on the sleeves. I think it looks fantastic, and yours will too. Yeah, I'm really happy with the way that turned out. I mean, there might be a little wonky in spots, but you know what? That's fine. It's fine. I think it's great, and I look forward to seeing yours. Okay, so hopefully I'll have time to block my sweater before graduation and a family trip and so forth. But if not, I'll do it when I come back. But at least I got it done. I got the sewing video up for you to see. And if you're a patron, I'll share some videos from our trip. So you'll see there'll be some patron-only videos coming along from our trip. You can watch that over at patreon.com/purl together. I will upload them as Wi-Fi allows while we're traveling. I really enjoyed this knit along and I hope you did too. And now we all have a fantastic sweater to wear this fall. I might have to knit a matching hat now. You think? Or another Musselburgh. Yeah, I have lots of things. And my hair person said, she's buzzed a few women before and she said the only thing they said was a little chilly. That was a little chilly in the winter. And I'm like, but I'm a knitter. It's fine. It'll be totally fine. And she said, you have a point. You're going to love it. So love it or hate it, it's what I did and it's fine. And if it inspires you to go out and do something you've been putting off and kind of having to work up the nerve to do, then yay. So then you do it. And if you don't like it, that's okay. Don't leave any rude comments. You know how your mama says, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Because it's just hair. It'll grow back. All right. I hope you all have a fantastic week. Take care.